Thank you all very much for letting me speak to you today. We are going to honor a man that almost every single person in this room knows. His name is Stanley Martin Lieber. Who knows that name? Good for you. Stanley Lieber was born in 1922 in a one-bedroom apartment in the Lower East Side of Manhattan. It's pretty awesome. Born to immigrant parents, Celia and Jack Lieber. He was the older brother of Larry Lieber, who is actually a cartoonist for DC Comics. Who knows who DC Comics is? Yeah, a lot of you. Stanley was an incredible, or is an incredible writer. He's an actor. You've seen him in, I guarantee you've seen him in multiple movies. You've all seen him and loved the movies then, was very encouraged by seeing them. From an early age, he was a phenomenal writer. He started at 11 years old writing obituaries for a local paper at 11 years old. At 12 years old, he was writing press releases for the National Tuberculosis Foundation. Anybody in here write press releases for national organizations? 12 years old. At 16 years old, he graduated high school early. In the year was 1939. He got his very first job as an inker. At that time, his uncle was a cartoonist that worked for Timely Comics, which later on would grow up to be Marvel Comics. An inker was the person who would go over and fill up the ink dyes because the artists they were still dipping their pens in ink. In 1942, he got to write his very first comic. He got to write his own little line for it. It was a Captain America comic. He was super fired up, but he didn't want to use his own name because he wanted to use that when he wrote the Great American Novel, what everyone was going to know him by. So he chose the pen name Stan Lee. Who knows who Stan Lee is? Many more hands.
Spider-Man.
There you go. Spider-Man's daddy, in fact. He created Spider-Man and over 380 other characters throughout his entire time. He was the youngest editor of a comic book company, of any company, honestly, of all time. He was 19 years old when Marvel Comics said, "We need to stand in editor. You're it." Not only did he usher in the greatest money-making time of comics of all time, is the golden era is what they called it, but he changed comics in every single way. He had a little posting that he would put in every single comic book, and it was called Stanley's Soapbox. And he would speak out about discrimination, intolerance, prejudice. And this was all during the 1960s and 70s, which was a huge deal. He changed the comic code, the way that people wrote comic books. He was the very first person to have an alcoholic superhero. Tony Stark. Iron Man. Who in here has seen the Avengers movie? Oh, yeah. He had the very first alcoholic superhero, Iron Man. He had the very first drug user in comics get help. And he had these people surrounded by their friends to beat these odds. And it was never done before Stan Lee stepped foot in there. One of the greatest quotes I can think of from Stan Lee is in 2006. He said that he was a frustrated actor, that he wanted to be in more cameos than Alfred Hitchcock. Who in here knows who Alfred Hitchcock is? I'm so sad. But I'll tell you, that's another speech altogether. But he's going for the most cameos that anyone's ever done before. How do you honor someone who's changed so many people's lives? Who in here has the favorite superhero? Who's your favorite superhero?
Iron Man.
Iron Man. Oh, come on.
The Hulk.
The Hulk. Two of them. Both of them created by Stan Lee.
Batman.
Batman. Great.
Captain America.
There you go. There you go. See, these are, everyone has these superheroes. You know, it's good that you can have, these imaginary near gods with incredible powers that you can look at and just have your imagination go wild. Reading their comic books is what challenges everyone to, change the way they think about a certain aspect. Who thought that a dude in armor would be able to fly? I'm certain that nobody before Iron Man was flying in armor. No, they were riding horses and slaying dragons. But that's what it's all about. Stan Lee was a master of imagination. How do you honor someone who's a master of imagination? Do you make them big awards? Big old giant hammers? No. Do you do big long speeches that are super boring? No, no. You're a fan. Now, how many people in here are Marvel fans? Yeah. You got to be a fan to honor the man. I thank you all very much for hearing me today. Short and sweet, guys. Thank you guys very, very much. I really needed that.